Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And I've been listening Big Finish. Not as much Big Finish as I normally used to this month. There's a lot of releases I didn't get. I used to be a completist, right? The idea of not buying a Doctor Who disc would be, actually download. It would be insane to me, right? It would be insane. Sadly, all you got to do to stop being a completist is be forced not to feel that you're forced to not buy one, right? When you don't buy one, then you really, really narrows things down a lot, right? It really stops you buying a lot. So, honestly, I think this all happened 2017, 2018. I think the quality really, really fell. There was a big push to recruit female writers, which was fine, but the problem is when you narrow, when you become less inclusive, which is the funny thing. When you narrow your hiring pool, the only result possible is a lowering of quality, which really happened. It was so tragic. Those last couple of years of the main range should have been great. Should have been a tour de force, right? Should have been a victory lap, and they really weren't, right? They just kind of went petered out into nothing. Plus, I think the corporate structure from the BBC, the BBC has a certain somewhat unpopular ideology, which they very much want to educate the British public. So I think they had quite a few edicts from them to do things that were somewhat less popular, right? If you're holding your breath waiting for absent friends, I wouldn't hold it for much longer, right? You may not make it, right? But yeah, so I stopped being a completist. So I didn't buy the Colin Baker disc from last month, for example, because I listened to the first episode with Hebe, the new companion, if that's how you pronounce the name. And it's just very, very difficult to write a wheelchair-bound companion on audio without it seeming somewhat on the nose, right? Without it seeming like tokenism, which to me is what it really felt like. And I just wasn't interested. It just seemed like an angry person. I mean, for some reason they're on an oil rig. I don't know. Okay, I wasn't that interested. So I'm out, right? I'm out of that one. I'm out of the Eighth Doctor range. They have, once you stop being a completist, they need to have some reason to get you to make a purchase, right? It needs to have something on the merits of its thing to make you purchase, and it's not so much anymore. With that said, I've been happy to subscribe to the entire Ninth Doctor range, and I'm up to volume 2.2, Into the Stars. I think the subtitles they're giving them are very weak, right? The last one was... What's the last one? Earth and Beyond or something? It was something really nebulous. Back to Earth, right? It was... they're just really, really nebulous, and they're not really thought through, and it seems just a bit lackluster to me. But okay, whatever. I understand they don't want to put numbers on it, so you can buy them individually. That makes sense, right? That makes sense. Sadly, this release is one I cannot recommend. It depends how much of a completion you are on the Ninth Doctor, right? I liked hearing Christopher Eccleston again. It's always fun to hearing his take on the Doctor, which generally speaking I like a lot. I like his performance. I think the performance on these sets are generally very, very good. That's a good reason to get me past the gate, right? The quality of this release, not so much. Although I have to say, we'll talk about this at the end of the review. The next one I am not getting. So I don't know. I stopped buying the River Song stuff, for example, and then they had one where she was stuck in the 70s in the Unity. I'm like, well, that sounds fun. I'll buy that, right? But it's a lot of bad decisions have led to this place, which again we should be talking about, because this release, there is one story that's kind of a bingo card of cringe. It's not, I wouldn't say woke, and if anybody's going, oh, what does woke mean? Woke in this context means the uncomfortable platforming of ideology in an existent, a successful franchise with a strong fan base. That's what woke means. I mean, there are other factors as well. It normally comes with a massive drop in quality, but not always, right? And also the ideology they platform is a mixture of universally accepted ideology and quite widely questioned ideology, like universally accepted, black people are people too, right? You know, have you ever met anybody who doesn't think that? I mean, really, they're just weird, right? So, universally, black people are people too, and women can have penises. What? Who? What? So, you know, and if you say, I'm not sure about the women with penises thing, they go, you hate black people! That's what woke means, right? That's what woke means. I hope that clears it up. But it's not even woke, it's cringe, right? There's one story which is like a bingo card or cringe. Every time you get over a cringe story, like, ah! Right, oh, cringe. Give it 5 minutes, there's another one coming. It was a lot of cringe going on. Fine. Before we get in the review, like, share, subscribe. All those things are very good things to do. I'm about 5 subscribers away from breaking in 3,500, which I think is some kind of invisible benchmark, right? So once I get over that, my subscribers, my channel should be able to grow. Okay, it should be. I don't know. But if you can help me out, hit the subscribe button. That'll be fan-dabby, double dozy. Like, share, subscribe, comment, sign up my Substack, sign up my paid Substack. It's where I send out my comics. On the free one, it's totally free. You just it tells you where my videos are every day. Plus, I bought a bunch of free stuff on. Like, I'm putting out all the every Friday. I put out like, a Virgin or a BBC book that's out of print now because I love that range. Yeah, I love that era. It's very sad that era's being forgotten. And I'm surprised, like, Big Finish could really do well just by doing books on tape of those like lost novels, right? Yeah, I think there would be a market for it. But I don't know. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all those things are very, very good. Fine. Let's talk about this release, Into the Stars. Okay, firstly, very good cover. I want to praise where I can. Very good cover, and Christopher Eccleston uniformly excellent throughout this. He seems a little bit more, I mean, very, very marginally, a little bit more phoning it in this one, right? A little bit more, I think it's just more like complacent, and he knows what he's doing, which is probably a good thing, right? Probably a good thing. But in general, the quality of the performances are excellent. Okay, the cover is great. Who did the cover? Let's have a look. Production details. Cover up by Caroline Tackersley. Yeah, no, she's excellent. You should certainly use them more. I like this. It's cinematic. It feels right. What's the most important thing about box set? The stories. Let's look at the stories. The first one, Salvation 9 by Timothy X Attack. So this is the one with the female Sontarans in, this is the best episode on the in the set, right? I will say by far, by a country mile. The Doctor happens upon an unusual outpost and discovers it's about to be annihilated. To save Salvation 9, he must rally people for whom war is an alien concept and protect the future of the Sontaran race. Yeah, so that's kind of a nice little tease. So essentially, I'm not sure if I like the story structure of this, where it's all told in flashback. The Doctor arrives at a spaceship that's ahead of a war fleet heading to wipe out this planet or the population on the planet. Of course, again, it's like a bingo card, right? I mean, like, of course, the commander's female. And again, I don't have a problem with female authority figures. I do have a problem with there being only female authority figures, right? And it's like, oh, it's ridiculous. I remember I first really noticed it when I was watching The Bodyguard. The guy does Line of Duty, right? Oh, I said duty. That thing, and I just noticed. Wait a minute, everybody in a position of authority is female. Like, everybody. It's a bit weird, right? And I think that's why TV has lost so much of its audience, because it just doesn't reflect its audience anymore, right? They reflect this weird world where half the people are black and gay, right? Okay, but that's just not the world is like. Again, not that I have a problem with seeing black or gay people on screen. I do have a problem seeing them being used as tokens. That being said, that's not what this story was, right? The story was there were these natural Sontarans. This Sontaran group had ended up becoming naturalized, and they were able to hatch Sontaran podlings. Dan Stark is in it, who is always great. I can't remember who plays the female Sontaran, but apparently that happens when you stop taking your puberty blockers or something in Sontarville. and they develop a smaller thorax or whatever it is they always describe it as. But generally speaking, this one really works well because they're a Sontaran race which has the idea of war is alien to them. But they're still Sontarans. It feels very, very authentically Sontaran. Even the female Sontaran feels very Sontaran. And I do like the Doctor working to stop a tragedy happen of like these peaceful people being murdered because of misconception. So that to me seems like a very Doctor Who-y idea, and specifically a very Christopher Eccleston Doctor Who idea. That one really, really, really works. Same cannot be said for the rest of the disc. So the second one, the mediocre one, is called The Last of the Zata scene by James Kettle. The rich and criminal rub shoulders on stage 3 spaceport. Well, the rich are criminals in Big Finish world. There's nothing worse than being wealthy. I mean, like, really? Like, rich people are people. I mean, I'm not a rich person, right? Rich people are people too. Look, I think there are some rich people who are looking to become unelected controllers of the world, like the Klaus Schwabs of the world. I think that's bad, right? I think that's generally speaking quite bad. But I think being rich isn't so terrible, right? And I don't think it makes you an evil person. I really don't like the demonization. And it basically just says, I'm mad because I don't have more money. I mean, like, be happy with what you got, baby. Right? In Judaism, we have a thing that says Jewish philosophy. Who is a wealthy man? Somebody who is happy with what he has. And then you are wealthy. So they play high-stake games for valuable prizes. The Doctor's always interested in endangered species, and the Zactacine are more endangered than most. So it's like a giant pig monster thing that these people are playing a game of cards over. He picks up a one-time companion in this. There's a lot of really weird things. Like, she wants to be a dancer, but she can't afford it. Again, this real railing against capitalism, right? The system that produced this audio. And again, look, I'm not saying capitalism is the greatest thing in the universe, but the constant demonization of it is just silly. It's silly and distracting, right? That's how I would describe it. Silly and distracting. And that goes all the way through. So the one-time companion there, she's got a job working for a couple of spiders that dance, and it's just a bit silly. It doesn't really work, right? So she ends up with the Doctor infiltrating the card game, and cheating to win. This space pig sort of thing. And then it kind of breaks out, and it goes into a base under siege story, which is it's okay to a certain extent, but it's just a bit bland and way too much about the author's political worldview, right? Honestly, there should be a rule. And James Kettle is not a new writer. Let's see what else he's done. Hang on, let's go up here. James Kettle, because I've seen that name around. Well, I like this Doctor of War, Terra Nostra. He's done Stranded. I was out of Diary of a Song. Did he do the Blazing Hour? Yeah, so he's done quite a few. As I'm looking through this, I'm seeing kind of a list of bland and mediocre. Right? Which one did he do with it? So this one, they had 2 excellent stories on. Was it 1 or 2? I think maybe it was the other one. I think I only had 1 excellent story on that, which was the Cybermen one. Hunting Season, Danbury Hall Sees Aliens, Maraud, The Frightful Business. Yeah, no. It was, again, a bit of a loser episode. So, look, I honestly, I just don't think he's really cutting the mustard. Nothing out here stands out, right? Nothing stands out at all. In fact, I just listened to... No, it was Tim Foley's one I listened to on the new Classic Doctor's New Monsters. That took me about 2 weeks to get through because I just was bored as hell through the whole thing. So it's a mediocre story. It's an okay story. It's a mediocre story. It's kind of feels like a filler. And then we get the bad story, Break the Ice. So this is supposed to be a Christmas special. It doesn't really work as a Christmas special. It's much more of a horror special because it's really quite disturbing and scary. But it's not like a horror story for Christmas special, right? I like those. I like those M.R. James things. This is much more. This is much scarier, right? Much more horrific. So on a chilly space station, the Doctor meets a group of scientists experimenting with cryogenics. Again, this is basic. Based on the siege story, but when one subject returns from sub-zero temperatures, he does not return alone. A creature awakens that can freeze the soul with icy fingers. Jack Frost. Okay, so this is the one that's a bingo card of cringe, and it really is a bingo card of relentless cringe. It starts off, the pre-title sequence is this female scientist talking to her wife about their kid, and I'm like, well, of course they're gay. Of course they're gay, and of course they have children. Most people are straight, right? Most people are straight. We haven't seen a straight couple on Big Finish in years. Absolutely years. And it's ridiculous. Again, it's just silly. Like, everybody is a lesbian. It's ridiculous, right? So, like, fine. And because of that, they don't set up the story properly. So you get the Doctor arrives and you don't know what he's doing there. And you have the titles and the Doctor's there. And you don't really know what's going on because they spent all the time saying, hey, look, we're lesbians and we have a kid. Does that scare you, Christian conservatives? Oh, I hope that scares you. That's what it feels like. I'm like, and hiding behind this is a reasonably good story. So then, the next mark on the bingo card of cringe is Prophet is evil, right? It was the evil white man who's a corporate stooge who's just interested in profit. Now, I want to ask you, what's wrong with profit? Right? Like, unscrupulous profit, yes. What these pharmaceutical companies do, yes, I agree with you. Again, the Klaus Schwabs of the world, yes. Making a profit, like a small company like Big Finish, making a profit is a good thing because then they can employ people to make more of these audio stories, right? They get to do the work that they like, which is writing and acting, and Doctor Who, which is such a blessing, right? To be able to do a job that you are excited and happy. That's been your childhood dream. They get to do that. We get to have Doctor Who that we enjoy, right? And it's just a good idea, right? It works out for the best. I think Big Finish aren't averse to making a profit, right? But again, no, he's an evil businessman. Profit is bad. No, profit isn't bad. Profit's a good thing. It's unscrupulous profit is bad, but there's no distinction made between unscrupulous profit and profit nowadays. Profit is just evil. And there's so many more. To recommend it though, the villain in it is played by was it Pip Torrens, who's always excellent, right? He played the headmaster in the Human Nature two-parter with David Tennant. He was Hair Star in the Preacher TV show. He was the head of staff, I think, in The Crown for the Buckingham Palace. He's always great, right? He's always great. He's always interesting. I always like him, and he does an excellent job here. And again, the I would say the directing and the acting in this, absolutely excellent, right? First class. It's just a shame. It's a Rolodex of cringe. What else? So yeah, apparently the evil corporate white man, who I don't know who's white, but probably evil corporate white man does an unethical experiment, reducing him to absolute zero. This guy volunteered, and that's how Jack Frost appears. And it's again based on just scenes where Jack Frost is terrifyingly murdering everyone. It's not very Christmassy, right? It doesn't work as a Christmas thing. Then, as it goes on, he gains an Ersatz companion during this, and at one point she can't do something because her anxiety is too strong. And I'm like, oh, for God's sake. We all have anxiety, okay? Everybody throughout time has always had anxiety. What we haven't had is a life of complete pampering, right? Where nothing goes wrong. Where you get participation trophies when we fail rather than better luck next time, right? So everything seems like violence now, right? what we used to call having anxiety. We used to call that being a pussy, right? But everybody's scared. Everybody's hard lives, right? You push through it. You don't want to be a jabbering mess. And then what else was there on the road? I remember there was just every few minutes I was like, oh God, really? So on the nose, right? So on the nose. I just wish they had some diversity working, but they don't. That's the thing is, the reason there's no diversity working behind the scenes is because this younger generation. Oh, the younger generation, but this younger generation do not share the same values I have, which is I think we should all talk and meet and have a dialogue, and we shouldn't demonize one another, and we should look at each other as individuals and treat each other with respect, right? Don't go rush off and call people garbage people who are the worst ever. No. Don't do any of that. That's bad. All that is bad. Don't do that. But they don't. They don't want to have any contact whatsoever with somebody who doesn't share their point of view, even though their point of view does change radically all the time. But and because of that lack of diversity, you get weaker product. So good news for me though is this is much easier for me to stop being a completist on the Ninth Doctorate. This isn't. Not because this one was particularly awful, and although the last story was weak and irritating. It's because the next one they're bringing back in Liv and Tanya, who are a lesbian couple. Obviously, one of these lesbians women has a penis, right? And that was like just a cornerstone plot point of the Stranded series where they came from. And again, that's just your faith, right? That is your expression of your faith. That the normative state and the positive, healthy state for humans is to be fluid in every way. That's your faith, and that's fine. It's not a faith that I share. I think it's disastrous, right? I think that this transgender medical care is going to result in untold suicides, like so many teen suicides. And I'm really disturbed by it, right? Genuinely, I'm really, really disturbed by it. So I think I'm out of that one. I'm not buying it. Maybe I won't buy the one after it now. You have to impress me at this point, which it just where we are. Is where you brought us to. I'm very sorry about that. So for this, it's really not a recommend. I would give for the Sontaran story. I'll give that a 7.5. I'll be generous. I'll give it 8 out of 10 for that. No, not really. 7.5 out of 10. And I'm being generous with that, right? I'm close to 7. Let's say 7.5 for the Space Swine one. I'll give that a 5. And again, being generous. And for the Jack Frost story, that gets a 2, right? So you get out of so how much is that's 5, that's 7, 14.5. Fine. So this gets just under. The set gets just under a 5. That's not a recommend. I would avoid it. Yeah, I would totally avoid it. If they have, if they ever release the Sontaran story on its own, that's the only one worth listening to it. So again, you made my life easier, Big Finish. I would much rather it not be easier. I'd much rather just put up content which I enjoy, which doesn't just exist to make your creative staff feel validated, right? Maybe they can feel validated with a paycheck. That might be a plan. Shall we try that? I don't know. Who knows or dares to dream? My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.